Hello and welcome to Free the Mind UK, a chat with a therapist. My name's Dave Carson. I'm your host for this evening, and I've got a fantastic guest tonight in the way of Nicolette Keizer. I'm going to introduce her in a moment, but first, we're going to listen to our intro video.
Not sure what therapy to choose? Free the Mind UK presents a chat with a therapist. Join us live for an up-close informal discussion of the various holistic therapies available, helping you make that important choice.
Okay, so like I said, we have Nicolette Keizer joining us very, very soon tonight. Now, Nicolette has spent quite a bit of time in communities in Glastonbury and Findhorn. And at some point later on, she took the plunge and actually set up her own community in Transylvania, of all places. And I've seen the pictures on her Facebook. It looks absolutely beautiful. I also want to say that I've had a few technical issues tonight. I don't know what I'm going to be sounding like. So, anyone watching tonight, they could let us know whether you can hear me okay and everything. That would be amazing. Okay, so let's bring in Nicolette. Hey!
Oh, thank you, Dave. Thanks for asking me on.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure. I know that. I mean, we will have people watching us tonight, but obviously it's going to be recorded, and a lot of people get to see this if they've got an interest in off-grid living, which I know nowadays it's quite a popular thing. Personally, I can't think of anything better than living in a forest or something, or somewhere that's like a town. Something a bit more natural. That's what I'm trying to say. So Nicolette, am I coming in okay? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, it's a little muffled, Dave, but I can just about understand what you're saying.
Oh gosh, well we'll ask some people to give us some feedback on what we're coming in like. Hopefully, I say some technical issues. So Nicolette, how did it all start? Did you have this? How did you get this inclination to go off into Transylvania? Obviously, you had experience in communities in Findhorn and Glastonbury. So how did it all come about?
Well, I think that was it. I had some amazing times living in community in Glastonbury when I was in my 20s, coming on 30s, and then again when I was in my, well, I would have been 40, late 30s, 40,
Wow.
in Findhorn. And then I was going to stay there, and then I moved away, lived on a boat, and then friends were going to, potentially start a community up. We were all going to do it together, all sell our houses. It never happened, and so I thought, well, I love living in nature anyway. That's my main thing. I have to be in nature. I'll see if I can start a community of some description.
Wow.
So I had a couple of friends that were interested in doing it, and I just went onto Google. It's a long story, really, but I mean, to cut it short, of how I actually ended up there was, yeah, we kind of did a vision board and just, didn't say where, but all the things that we wanted to start a community: land, beautiful surroundings, buildings that would be suitable. I just started Googling, properties for sale, England, France, and then I just thought, oh, Romania's just joined the EU. It just popped into my head, as these things do. And so I just Googled properties for sale in Romania, and this English website came up, and this one at the top just fitted the bill. Everything that we'd said we needed and wanted was there, or potentially could fit in there. And so went over there and literally did the deal within 5 days. So it wasn't that there was no plan to go to that particular place. We
It
just
just
said
yeah,
affordable.
sometimes sometimes I think as a spiritual person, we're sort of told to follow our gut or intuition. Was it a
Definitely.
bit like that? It seemed to unfold.
Yes, definitely. If it wasn't for the fact that everything we'd put on this vision board that we
Yeah.
thought would be suitable for a community, um, this place had ticked all the boxes and had literally come up within days of doing the vision board. It just was like, yeah, exactly, follow the intuition. I wouldn't have otherwise just started looking for properties in Romania. It's just that it all fitted, so I went along with it.
That's fantastic. I love that. I love it in life that synchronicity, plays its part. When you're sort of aligned with it. So tell me about your experience at Findhorn and Glastonbury, because I'm assuming that Findhorn there was quite a big community there. And,
Yes,
and
yeah.
what was that like? I mean, obviously, in a community, the people are really important, aren't they?
Oh, well,
Because
the
obviously,
community is the
you all want to
people.
get on with each other and everything. What was it like in Findhorn?
Well, like you say, it was a much bigger. Findhorn was much bigger than the community in Glastonbury that I was in. But the
Yeah.
people that had started the place up in Glastonbury had been inspired by having gone to Findhorn originally, so they had quite strong connections with Findhorn. So that's how I knew about Findhorn, even by being in that community, which was run by a couple of people. Both were spiritual, and one used to do channeling, and so they anonymously published a book. Each channeling was actually a chapter. And so I was so inspired by this book, I went to Glastonbury to meet them, ultimately ended up being there and meeting some fantastic spiritual people because they used to come and hire the place and, we used to host people as guests and what have you.
Yeah.
So that was my introduction in a small way to community living, which was amazing. And then I was then inspired to keep going up to Findhorn the next following years after I'd left that community and did various workshops. And
Wow.
then decided to go to Findhorn. Well, there's a big story on how I ended up in Findhorn. But anyway, I ended up in Findhorn for a couple of years, joined the community and was on the committee, as you were, the NFA. New Findhorn Association. So, excuse me, I got quite a bit of insight into, the runnings of the community, the complications, and some conflicts. But they'd been going a long time. They were a large, established community.
They obviously had a way of sorting out any sort of conflicts. How would that work?
Yeah, they did. They had conflict resolution courses, and they also had peacemakers in the community, so that if there was any conflict, they would come together and bring them together and just talk.
And did
Try
that often sort the situation out?
Yeah, often it did. Yeah, often it did. And if it couldn't be resolved, then one or the other would leave. Yeah.
Excuse me 1 second.
Okay.
Don't want the dog barking instead of coming on the microphone. Wow, my
I know. I've shut my doggy in the bedroom because I thought she might bark. She's a big dog, so she makes everybody jump.
So just remind me again, how long was you at Findhorn?
Just a couple of years. Yeah,
Wow.
a couple of years I was there, and
Is that obviously I've never been to Findhorn, right? So describe it. What's it like there? What sort of
it's in the Murray Firth. It's in the Murray Firth, so it's got the Gulf Stream coming through. So it's relatively milder than the rest of Scotland, although of course it is very cold, and of course it's on the coast. It's absolutely beautiful, but yeah, it's more extreme than down here. But beautiful. But the community itself, it's such an established community, and they used to be known for growing vegetables. They still do, because they were working with the elemental kingdom, who were, through one of them, channeling best ways to grow, because pretty much it was just sand. You didn't normally grow much, but they were growing phenomenal things there. That's how the people started to learn about Findhorn, because of what they were growing. Gradually, people started turning up in caravans and joining them.
Wow.
And that's how it turned into the community that it is. And they say these days, as well as growing vegetables, they grow people. And so they have some amazing experience weeks and other workshops. And so I started going and doing a lot of those, and that's how I ended up staying there and being on the foundation program there.
There must have been
Yeah.
something within you there, bubbling. I just want to, I want to say hi to Craig. Craig's watching us at the minute. He's one of our regular viewers. And Craig, if you're watching now, can you just leave a comment to let us know whether the sound's okay? Because I could hear myself speaking twice because I messed up on my stream tonight. So if you can let me know if you're watching, that'd be great. Yeah. So that experience with the growing of things invaluable, really, isn't it? And such a great skill to know, especially if you're going to go off and set up your own community like you did.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, obviously, these experiences were fundamental in some respects here. But when you set up your own, would you
Oh,
say?
definitely, definitely. And the communication that I learned through communing with nature, communing with our higher selves, with other beings of various levels of consciousness coming through, and the importance of that connection in establishing whatever it is you want to do in life, and a community, growing vegetables, whatever. And so yeah, there was a lot to be learned that way, but also the importance of people. The people are the community. It's not the place. It is the place to a large extent, but if you haven't a foundation and a bonding and an understanding and a mutual focus with the people, then you've got much more chance of it folding up or there being more conflict.
Absolutely. And
So
people that come into the community, I'm guessing it's going to be spiritual people, but spiritual people have got bullshit baggage. You know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah, it depends. Some people come together because, it's cheaper. So it depends if you're coming together as a community because financially it's more viable, or let's say you're single parents and you've got children. There are other communities that have stepped up that way, and actually it's a children's community and they do homeschooling. And there are others that have got a spiritual focus, and that's why they're uniting and love, light, and all the rest of it. But yeah, either way, you really is the people that have you've got to have you've got to try and work out that rapport with people, and that really boils down to working on yourself. Because if other people are pressing buttons in you, it's very easy to project or blame. Where really, that's a gift to look at yourself. Why are they pressing my buttons? What is it in me that's triggering me?
I
That's
love a
giving
trigger. I love a trigger.
yes, yes, exactly. You were, because it is a gift, and if you can look at it that way, it's great. But if not, it's yeah, it can be very destructive. Yeah.
It's an opportunity. It's like the universe. Which I've got to be honest. I have been known to trigger people unintentionally. I think it's part of my reason to be here. Take the trigger out. And then I watch the behaviour unfold, and sometimes I'm like, oh, and sometimes, wow, well done. Do you know what I mean? The way
Yeah, well,
they're reacting to the trigger.
it
Obviously,
depends on how they're looking at you. If they're looking at you as being a blessing and showing them things about themselves, then great.
yeah,
But if they're, getting annoyed with you, then
not so great.
yeah.
So tell me about the run up to like. I know you didn't get board, and then uh, this place in Pennsylvania came along. So
Yeah.
you sort of fill us in what happened from that. You know, the whole.
Well, we ended up buying this piece of land in beautiful mountains and forests of Transylvania. It had a half-built modern house, large on it, and a derelict cottage and an old barn, and nothing else there. No water, no electricity, nothing apart from these buildings. There was a compost toilet, that's it, on this side of the barn. And there was a well, but it was one that was very small, very shallow. So it wasn't, there wasn't a huge amount from it. It wasn't drinking water. So first, when we got there, we had to, first of all, make sure we got drinking water. So we found 2 or 3 places from the locals in the forest that were drinking. So we used to go there with every day with our rucksacks and go and get our drinking water. And we relied on the well for water to like wash ourselves, wash our clothes, which we did like, by hand. And then, so far as the electric was concerned, we just bought this little caravan. And so we arrived in this caravan that had one solar panel on the roof, one leisure battery. So there was no mobile phone signal there or internet anyway. So it was just a candle, or, you might have enough to charge a rechargeable torch, but that was it. And so the first priority was to get, because that was summer months, to get one of the rooms in that derelict cottage done up and put a wood burner in there, so we had somewhere that was relatively warm in the winter. But to be honest, if we'd have known, how challenging it was going to be.
I was going to ask you that because, sorry for interjecting again, but like you get there, you get to the property, and there must be like excitement, the roller
Yeah,
coaster of emotions, like wow, we're free. That because I'd be thinking that, and then all
yeah,
of a sudden, boom,
yeah,
water, this, that, and the other,
yeah,
and those things
yeah.
set in. So very challenging, and what a fantastic way to see your reflection through those
Well,
moments.
there was so much to learn that it was, although it was challenging, it was exciting, and it was like so beautiful there. But the thing was, yeah, even like for light, it's like a candle at night time, no
Wow,
internet, so we might have a game of drafts or something
wow,
like that, a board game.
yeah,
We
yeah.
had, and it was like collecting the firewood, but gradually, once we got a second room done up in that cottage, then we were able to get volunteers to come and stay. So
Mm.
they came and stayed, and then we did one room up in the main house, stayed in that, and then gradually, bit by bit, made the big building habitable.
Okay.
And after the 13 years, we had several solar panels and we had
My
flushing
God, that's
toilets.
a
And
long time, man. So obviously you have no internet there, so to get the volunteers, to have to go into the nearest town to get internet connection so that you how did you communicate with you? How did you call them? Did you have
well,
any?
we went into town. Our nearest town was 20 kilometers away. And the first year we smashed our car up. It was hit by 2 lorries, so that was a write-off, and we couldn't afford to replace it. So we were then in the middle of nowhere, 6 kilometers from the nearest village, 20 from the nearest
Oh
town.
my God.
But we had 400 meters to get up to a relatively main road. And
Mhm.
so we used to hitchhike
It's
because
like,
it was, yeah, and there was a bus that you could flag down. There wasn't a bus stop, but he did stop 9 times out of 10.
oh,
So we managed, and so once a week we went into town and brought our laptop, went into a restaurant, did our shopping, got a cooked meal, and spent the day on the laptop. So yeah, but slowly but surely, and as we got other people come and work done bit by bit,
so how
we
long did they come
managed.
and stay for?
And not either a number of days or 2 or 3 weeks on average, but there was a couple that stayed in the cottage for 18 months,
Oh,
She
wow.
was Romanian, and so she was our translator. She was
Oh,
actually,
useful.
she had a radio show in Bucharest originally before she
Really?
left. Yeah, she could speak 3 languages, so it was
Wow.
brilliant.
Oh,
And
that's
he was a herbalist,
oh,
and
wow.
so he wanted to live in that sort of nature so that he could study the plants, the herbs in their natural habitat instead of what he'd learned from books, you know. So they were a great couple to have there. And then there were people that joined us and did. Eventually, we started running workshops, and because we had then, when it was done up, we could have people staying.
Oh, of course, yeah. And I'm
Yeah.
sure that's very popular, you know, you go to a place, you know, somewhere like Transylvania, living in a sense of grid, you know, away from the hustle and bustle.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
yeah,
People used to come and they said they'd never heard their own heartbeat before
wow.
because it was like that silent.
And
Like we think we're in silence here, but every home has sounds. It's got
of course,
water pipes or
yeah,
electrics or something clicking on or off, or but there was nothing. There was no light pollution, there was no
you
street
know what
lights,
I was going to
no
say to you,
postman,
actually,
no
I,
dustman.
I used to be a postman many years ago, and I lived in Somerset. I lived on a farm in the middle of nowhere, and light pollution. I remember one morning I went out, and the sky was just full of
Oh
stars.
yeah.
And I
Oh
was
yeah.
I was late for work. I was just looking up at the sky in just absolute awe. It was just like incredible. Most incredible sight I've ever seen. So I'm
Yeah.
imagining you used to get that on a regular basis.
Oh, amazing. The skies, just thousands of stars. Yeah,
Absolutely.
you could even see like sometimes like it looked like the Milky Way. I don't know if it was, but you know when you've just
Yeah.
got oh, it was amazing. But yeah, no light pollution, is there? So especially we used to have a fire outside and you sit by the fire and see the stars. It was just like it. I mean, this is how we used to live, didn't we?
Do you know what? Just said you've hit it on the nail. It's how we used to live. And I spent 6 months in a ashram in India, and it was totally different to this. Because when I came back from India, this was so plastic to me, so like unreal. I always said this is how it's supposed to be, you know, and I feel that in every cell of my body. And I can just imagine what it would
Yeah.
like. It's been incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Because you know, living in nature, what was that for you in itself? You know,
Oh, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I've always had an affinity with nature anyway. You know, like I've lived off grid, I've lived in on boats off grid. So I thought, you know, I've renovated places, you know, so I thought, oh, well, it wouldn't be too much of a challenge, really. I mean, it was. I mean, in some ways I was half prepared, but it was more, but it was just so beautiful. So beautiful, you know, pristine forests, ancient forests, not like woodlands,
yeah.
trees and rocks, and you know, there's bears and wolves, and
Mm.
the whole ecosystem is still there, you know, plants and insects and butterflies. Yeah,
And
that, you know, that have been long gone here.
yeah, oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
And yeah, people just have just lost touch. I think
yeah,
they've probably got the world, the Western world, what they call the civilized world. It's so far removed from the natural way of living. And,
yeah.
you know, without being conspiracy theorists, I'm pretty sure it was all designed that way because they were clever. I don't know.
I
I don't
know.
know. We just like our luxuries, don't we? You know, it's
Well,
like
it's lovely. You get
everything
used to them. But
yeah,
you're right, they are they're luxuries. They're not necessities. People sometimes think they're necessities, but they're really not.
no.
And what I miss the most is living by fire.
Yeah.
You know, I used to heat by
Crackle the
fire, cook on fire. You know, even in the summer, you'd cook on fire outside. In the winter, it'd be inside. I so miss fire. And you
yeah,
know what? There's an interesting thing that, you know, people in the winter here, because we've all lost our fires in our, you know, they suffer with this, what they call SAD disease, SAD
yeah.
condition, SAD,
Okay.
depression. And that's because and you can get these sad lamps, can't you?
Yes.
And that they are of the same light spectrum as the sun. But did you know that firelight is the same light spectrum as the sun?
Really?
Yeah, and because we've lost our fires,
Yeah,
unless you the
yeah,
candle gaze,
yeah.
then
I,
we're going into depression because we don't have that light.
do you know, like this country's at the point where you can't. I mean, there's so much green belt land. You can't like just go off and go and camp somewhere. It's like, in some other countries you can. And like you said,
Yeah,
you can't have fires because it's health and safety and all that.
I
It's
know. They couldn't believe it over there when I told them that you're not allowed to go into the woods and camp.
unbelievable.
They didn't believe me, literally. They said, "What do you mean you can't go into the woods and camp?" I said, "No,
Yeah.
you can't." "Well, where do you camp then?" I said, "Well, if you do camp, you go to a site
Yeah.
and you can't light a fire." "What do you mean you can't light a fire?" It's like, the woods and the forests are for everybody.
Absolutely.
They've still got that mindset, fortunately.
Yeah.
But
All right.
here, it's
Beautiful.
like,
And they don't want to ever lose that. I just want to quickly say, could someone in the messages let us know whether our sound's coming across okay? I'm just intrigued. I'm sure it is. But if someone can let us know if it is coming through okay, that would be amazing. So yeah, I love a fire myself, Nicola. I love it.
you've got
I
one.
can watch the flames for hours.
Oh, you're
Mesmerized.
lucky. Yeah.
So what was the environment like? Was you like just off a forest? Was it the forest environment?
Yes, it was a forest environment. Yeah, in the mountains. And we were about 1,200 meters above sea level. There was a mountain 1,500 meters. So not like giants, but, it was rocky, which there was no agricultural because it was forested, and which was lovely because you didn't have all that, everything was way more organic. You had the cows roaming and the shepherds taking them up through the mountains and pastures that there was,
Mm-hmm.
because it hadn't all been taken over by industry and agriculture. So you'd have the bells, the cows going past with
I
their
didn't think
bells.
these
And
places existed. It's like
I know, but they still do over there. I mean, it isn't as good as it was. It's changing rapidly.
yeah,
They're putting in tarmacked roads, and people are, a lot of places are banning horses and carts, and there's a lot changing, but there's still a lot there that hasn't. It's wonderful. I highly recommend anybody to go. Yeah, I highly recommend it. And it's,
like
relatively affordable, Eastern Europe still, even
yeah.
though their prices have gone up hugely.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, the people are lovely. Don't believe all this rubbish on, about Romanians and,
Yeah.
no, not true. Not true at all. Of course, you get people everywhere, don't you? But, generally speaking, there's such family orientated people, community,
Yeah.
you welcome you with open arms. "Oh, come in, yeah, come in," slap a plate on the table straight away, regardless if they know you or not.
Yeah.
So nice.
It's
When we first
interesting.
got there, the local shop in the village had his keys in the door. And I
Yeah,
said to him, "Oh," I said, "you've left your keys in the door." And
yeah.
he said, "Yeah, that's all right. I left them in there all day, every day." Oh, you can imagine that in the UK, can't you? The shopkeeper leaving the keys hanging in the door all day.
I know.
Just a completely different way of life.
It, yeah. It's yeah.
Yeah,
I always
you had to take caution though with living in the wilderness. You
of
had to take
course.
some
Yeah.
caution, but it was beautiful for the beauty of it.
Oh
But it
yeah.
was like in the winters were long and very, very cold. I
So
lived
what?
in one room in the winter because it's too much work to try and keep that huge place heated.
So like I can imagine it was quite a challenge. Was it like the first few years, and then things started to get a bit easy because like you
Yeah,
got
I think every year we installed something, or we'd built something, so
yeah
we felt like there was progression every year. like, you know, a new compost toilet, or like when we put solar panels on the house. We had a couple of small ones, but when we actually put bigger ones in, we could then put pumps in the basement, which we'd already dug a water harvesting system. That in itself was a big challenge because we were just catching the rainwater in buckets before that. Whereas once we got channeled it down from the guttering underground, we dug a big chamber, and so we used to harvest the rainwater. And then when we got extra solar panels, we could put a pump in, and then we could pump that water into storage tanks in the basement. And then we could put a hydrofor down there so that we actually got flushing toilets and put those in. Oh my God, that was a luxury. That took about 6 years or 7 years before we had flushing toilets.
And was this also an aspect of the people that came with these skill sets to be able to, you know, or did you?
When it came to putting the plumbing in and the extra solar panels, I got somebody from the local town to come. They were specialists. So we raised some money by selling a bit of land, and when we got the money for the land, we then got people in to do that. Yeah.
So, you know, like people that are watching and are actually seriously considering doing something like what you did. What would you say to them?
If they were what, Dave?
If they were like seriously considering doing.
Oh yeah, going and living off grid. Yes.
What would you say to them, like, to get them started? What sort of?
I would say, firstly, a lot of people think, oh, get solar panels and you can, you know, you can just move somewhere and live off solar panels.
Yeah.
The thing is, you could never, with solar panels, create the amount of energy we normally use in our homes.
Right.
So first of all, you have a mindset of not how many panels do we need, but what do we actually need, and can we generate that sort of energy to power them?
You know, like, forget the air.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't have a hairdryer. You know, we'd hang our head over the fire and dry it that way.
That's what I'm talking about. So
yeah,
priorities.
And when we didn't have a washing machine, you know, it was a luxury. We did have a generator as a backup. So when I did all the hand washing, I used to start the generator up, and I had one of those little spin dryers. And I used to throw it in there, spin it, and then hang it on a rack over the fire and dry it in the house. So, those were luxuries, you know.
Of course. I remember when I was a kid, obviously, I was living in a house. I was about 6. That was about 1969, 1970. And they numbered them all the washing in the bath, and she'd get me to stomp on it all, you know, like a washing machine.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you know, we were very, very short of water because we had all we had was the well, and that nearly went dry several summers because the summers are very hot. In the winter, you have to go down there with an axe and break the ice to get at the water and dig a trench to go down there to fetch it anyway, and then bring it back. So it was a lot of work just getting the water. So, you know, when we did get the water, we'd have like a 20-litre bucket of water. That bucket in the morning would do a hair wash, a hair condition rinse, washing, and then a jug with some clean water to rinse all of that off. Plug in the shower tray, throw your undies in, and then trample on them. So and then save the water to flush the toilet. So that 20-litre bucket of water would do a hair wash, shampoo, washing, and flush the toilet.
And this is what I'm talking about, experience. You know, like, you were able to utilise the water in the best way possible for that particular
Definitely.
day.
But there is, you know, it's a lot. It's almost full time. It's almost full time to live like that, to get the water, to grow your vegetables, to chop your wood, to make your fires. But if you don't mind putting the work in, there's something that's just so lovely about creating or working with nature and getting your water, your electricity, making your fire, all of those things, growing your own vegetables. Very, very labor intensive, but so healthy and so
So rewarding.
you didn't have any problem sleeping at night. You're going to eat crashed.
And I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of gratitude as well, it's
Yeah, and appreciation. Well, we didn't have like the forecast here. Oh, so you've got a miserable rainy day. Miserable. We'd see the rain. And we're, oh, it's raining today. We'd run out with buckets and,
of course you
oh,
would.
we'll be able to fill up the tanks.
I
You
don't
know,
know what I'm saying. I'm
yeah,
really all I am. Bloody hell, look at all that's going to rain today. Because
yeah,
again, we were saying earlier on, everything's so easy. It's all comfortable. And
yeah.
I don't like being comfortable. Do you know what I mean?
No, I
I
know.
need a
I
challenge
know.
in life, and everything seems to be like all set out. So everything's at the end of your fingers, and everything's so comfortable.
Yeah,
It's,
it
it just
is. It is, and it's
doesn't feel real.
boring in a way. It's lovely. It's
Mm.
luxury. It gives you time to do other pursuits if you don't waste your time just sitting there watching TV, of course.
Oh, I
But
just want to
you
say,
know,
right, you're a woman from my own heart. Because I know you haven't had a telly for years and years and
well,
years.
do you know what? I haven't had a television for nearly 20 years, Dave. I bought one 2 weeks ago. And I bought one because I had an I Ching reading from a guy
Oh, yeah.
called Tom. Amazing guy. He's like worked
Tom,
with
is
the,
it,
yeah, I
I
think you
know
know
Tom.
him.
I know
Yeah.
his wife did the drawing.
Yeah. That's it.
What a
That's
beautiful
it.
couple. I know them really well. Yeah.
They are. Well, anyway, he gave me a reading and he said to me, I said, well, I haven't had a TV for about 20 years. I don't want to, this, that, and the other. Anyway, by the time he finished the reading, he said, you should get a TV.
Really?
And I said, what? But when he said, well, you're selecting things on the internet. Yes, it's things of your choice.
Of course.
But that feeds back on what you're looking at. And he said, you can actually become quite channeled in your pursuits, because mine's always about spiritual
Yeah.
stuff, channelings, alternative stuff, what used to be conspiracy but now is coming out as truth, that all that sort of
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
but you can get too, he said, you can end up getting too down that road. He
Yeah.
said, and you can still choose with TV
Yeah.
programs that you want to watch.
You can. You can.
So anyway, I actually went out and bought a TV. Can you
Wow.
believe?
Well, I haven't had one for about 3 years. And I've got to be honest, it's been fantastic. But I have to be honest, I'm on the phone. I am a little bit addicted to it. It's one of my little things I'm in the process of sorting out. And I do watch some shit on there, like
Yeah.
you would TV,
Yes.
just scrolling
Yeah.
shit, basically.
Yes, I know. It
It's
is a bit
annoying a little
addictive.
bit. It is
Yeah.
addictive. I mean,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. I watch sort of conspiracy stuff. It's not as far as I'm concerned. Truth is truth is.
Yeah.
Out there exposing stuff that a lot of people didn't know about. I love all that. I love all the common law stuff. Empowering the people to research, be more educated.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I love it.
Empowering themselves, taking personal responsibility instead of looking outside of ourselves for governance and healthcare and all the rest of it. Start taking it's making us take more responsibility
It is.
and doing our own research.
It's like that thing we said about taking responsibility. Um, we're in Transylvania, obviously far removed to living in Emsworth, Horndean, whatever, Ogden region. But there might come a time. There might come a time where it might all change. But
Well,
I'm
I've got
just
I've
gonna
got a
get
couple of
that.
survival bags in my cupboard in the hallway. I have
Love it.
with
You
equipment
haven't
in
got a
there
bunker
to.
then.
Hey,
You haven't got a bunker.
oh, what, a
A
printer?
bunker.
Oh, not a bunker. No, no, no. I haven't got a bunker. That's true. But there's 10 minutes up the road. I'm in the forest.
Yeah.
But I have got some, I've got some camping gear, and I've got, heating stuff, and one of those life straws you can drink out of a puddle and things like that, just in case. You never know.
People that used to come to your community. Did you spent a bit of time there? Did you notice? Did you see that or feel that change within them being in that
Oh,
natural
yeah.
environment?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. They said they could breathe, that we can finally breathe. And they didn't mean just the clean air. They meant they felt freedom and expansion, not the constraints and conditioning and, the 9 to 5 and all the rest of it. A couple of people arrived and actually cried because they just said it's so beautiful.
Yeah,
And when they walked into the house, they said it feels like a church.
I,
It's just got such lovely energy in here. And that's because so many people had come with love, and
yeah,
we'd done all of it by hand because we
yeah.
didn't have the money. We had to do it ourselves by hand, or when we had a little bit here, a little bit there. Yeah.
I go back to the time I spent in India in the ashram, although it wasn't like the sort of thing that you had in Pennsylvania. It was definitely far removed to all of this, and there was lots of people there that, were quite spiritual, and um, it was a great experience. I've got to be honest. They say if you go to India, you're a changed man, and I have to say
Yeah.
that's definitely what happened to me. It gave me an opportunity to to see life differently, yeah,
Yeah.
because it was completely different to like
Definitely. I recommend everybody does some traveling in their life, especially to other countries that have got a very different culture. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
Mm.
Wow. So let's have a look at this. What I've got on here. Um, so was it everything that you expected? When you
It was in many ways, it was everything I expected and more.
yeah.
But well, was it what I expected? In some ways, yes, but in other ways, it was challenging, and I learned a lot about myself that I
What did you
didn't
learn
know.
about yourself, Nicolette?
I learned that that's what I was saying about people being the foundation of a community. And somebody came, and we were thriving, and there was people coming, and people were getting to know us, and we were getting, we went to Findhorn and did a presentation and stuff like that, and it was all going superbly well. And then a person came and joined us and
Mm,
bought some land, and well, let's put it this way, started pressing all my buttons. It was triggering me the whole time, this
mm,
person. And I started becoming reactive
mm,
instead of looking at that as a gift, as in, okay, well, what is it in you? Why is that upsetting me so much? Why is that annoying me or challenging me or whatever?
yeah.
And that was the biggest thing, because it caused a lot of conflict there. It caused several months of challenges,
Mm,
until to the point where I felt I was, to a large extent, to blame for it.
mm,
Even though initially I thought this person's come and rocked the boat, everything was going swimmingly well, and this, that, and the other, which, yes, to some degree it was, they
yeah.
did.
Yeah.
But in that process, it made me look at myself quite deeply. And one of the workshops we held there, we had this woman come, and we were doing a workshop on eco building and all that. And she was doing some work with wood one day, and she all these tattoos down her arms and that. And I after she'd been there a couple of days, I said to her, I said, what's all your tattoos? Skull and crossbones with beads for eyes and all, the works down her arm. And she said, oh, that was my life before. And I said, before what? She said, that was my life before ayahuasca. Have you heard of it before? And I said, yeah, I saw a documentary on it a couple of years ago. And so, anyway, she told me how it had changed her.
Yeah.
So, when things started to get quite challenging, which was probably about a year or two after that, I thought, you know what? I think I'm going to get myself over to Peru and do some ayahuasca and see, if I can discover more about myself and what this is going on in me. And so that's exactly what I did. And that was another voyage of discovery and manifestation. I had no money, but ultimately the money was found, and I went and I did several ceremonies over there
Where
for,
did you go in Peru?
well, initially we met in Iquitos, and then we went to the Ayahuasca Foundation, which has got three camps, if you like to call them that, communities. And so I went to one of those. Their
And
first women's group it was.
how did you find it? Did you, when you had the ayahuasca, did it show you anything about yourself that was a bit unexpected, or did it show you stuff and you were like, oh, okay?
Oh, it showed me loads. It showed me loads. I mean, I can't describe it. Each ceremony, you have to do it with reverence. You have to prepare yourself for several weeks beforehand, your diet, your mental, physical, and emotional diet and physical diet.
Yeah.
So you're doing a lot of preparation before you go. And you go in there, and there's this great big room, and it's got these like mattresses and a bucket and toilet roll for everybody, because you do a lot of purging and such like. But when the altered state started happening, and you have access to dimensions and whatever you want to call them, different planes of yes, the spirit world.
Yeah.
I was seeing so much stuff. I found my horse that that was one of the most beautiful, because anyway, it's another long story, but anyway, I saw her. She'd been slaughtered for meat, unbeknown to me. She was in trauma, and it was a massive healing for her and for myself. And then another one where I did, after the third ceremony, because I say, when you're going to do it with intention. What's your intention beforehand? And I knew that would be a biggie, because I said my intention was to discover some of my blocks. And so, yeah, that ceremony, I discovered some of my blocks, and I thought I was going to die. I seriously thought I was going to die.
It's
But
interesting.
they do say that with ayahuasca, that you
They
do
did.
go through like a
You
death.
die. You die.
Yeah.
It's interesting, your journey, because I also went to Peru.
Oh,
I
did
went
you?
to Cusco, and I did exactly the same. And I also had San Pedro. Did you try San
Yeah.
Pedro? I loved San Pedro. It was like, they say ayahuasca is like the grandma, and it slaps your bottom. And the San Pedro, like you would think it was your
The grandfather. Yeah.
Yeah, the grandfather would hook you. And San Pedro for me was like, wow. Like I remember, because like I think I spoke about it before. To me, all of this is illusionary anyway. You know what I mean? So it just makes life a bit easier for me. It's like, fuck it, it doesn't exist. Well, it does. It's all energy, really. And I remember I was there in in a beautiful rural part of Cusco, whatever it was, and I was just looking at all the trees and everything, like talking to me, like vibrating. And the message I got was, which I knew anyway, and it just said to me, Dave, it's a beautiful dance. That's all it is. And I was like, yeah, that's it. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Depends on you looking at it, doesn't it? Yeah.
it is beautiful dance. Whatever's going on, there's an opportunity to grow. However
Yeah.
bad it is, however good it is, it's just something
Exactly.
happening. All the emotions, I believe, we attach. But in truth, that everything's just like just happening. There is no emotions attached to it. We attach everything to what's going on. So all the bullshit from us, there's no bullshit
Yeah.
happening out there.
No.
So
Exactly.
that was
We're
a big realization.
manifesting our reality. Yeah.
Exactly, and it's just a big reflection for us to grow. And God knows what's going to happen when we leave our bodies, but I'm sure it's going to be proper good ride.
Yeah, well, I reckon when you leave your body, it's exactly the same as before you left your body. You just don't have the body anymore. There's nothing much that changes in you apart from a greater awareness and then a
Absolutely.
process of revealing it all and going to see Akashic record and your
Yeah.
guides
I
or team
we
that
had
you
you
work with.
know, Jane Osborne. Do you know Jane Osborne? She's
I'm
a
not,
past life regression lady. Anyway, she had a great story. She jumped out of off a cliff on an aeroplane and hit the ground a thousand feet. She fell from a
well,
parachute, didn't open properly,
well,
and then she left her body and all that. And she was told she was like with a straw in her mouth for like years. She couldn't move. And they said to her, look, we've got a new job for you. You've got to do this past life regression. She's like, what the fuck? You don't have to go through this, something like that. And fascinating story. And she was saying that what they'd told her from her experience of channeling or whatever. But yeah, when we leave our bodies, it's like, okay, that life there. But she says you don't get the whole life. It's like when you read the back of a book. Because she said if you read the whole book, you wouldn't fucking go there. You know what I mean? Because there's going to be a lot of changes. So if you read an overview, they're like, okay, I'll go for that. You know what I mean? But we don't. But also, Nicolette, your birthday's on the 9th of June, is that right?
7th of June, yeah.
I'm the 10th of June.
Oh, are you? Oh, pair of Geminis.
Exactly. And you know, like your that I want to call it spontaneity. You know, I don't know if you feel that within yourself. If someone says, "Oh, Nicolette, should we do this?" You're more inclined to go, "Oh, bollocks, let's do it." You know.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Like that,
Yeah, definitely. You've got to
yeah.
be like that. You've got to really just
I
live
think
life, haven't
I
you?
think it's one of the greatest signs.
It is. It's crazy at times, but you've really got to go for it, haven't you? Life goes so quickly, You've got to make the changes you want to see. You've got to, work towards doing what you want to do, even take small steps, believe in it.
Absolutely, and it's so important what you're saying. It's absolutely true. Just
And it's very challenging at times, I know, but that's why we're here. And the challenges help us grow and see so much, don't they?
absolutely,
I'm definitely supposed to be here. I don't know how many near-death experiences I've had in my life. Unbelievable.
but
Car crashes and,
I know
I've run over all sorts.
I know you're heavily involved in organising events, yeah, which I think is fantastic because that's how we met when the empowerment weekend, didn't we? It was dead
That's
funny
right.
that actually, because the night before I was like, "Can I go to that?" I was like, "Do I need empowering?" I felt like, you know what I mean? And I was like, I might not go. I'm so glad I went because I got to
Yeah. Oh, we're
meet
so
everybody
glad you
else.
went as well, Dave.
And it was like, um, you know, it was a little lesson for me because there's always an opportunity to 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 investigate, and we were doing drumming, and I haven't done it
Yeah.
for ages. And I really enjoyed it. I met some wonderful people, and obviously from that, you gave me the opportunity to talk at your event, and so it's like
That's right. I think sometimes these things can seem like a little bit, well, but actually it's the connections that you make, the opportunities that can come through it. You just don't know when you get an invite or something what it's going to lead to, do you really?
that is the point. And a lot of people, I mean, I could have thought, oh, bollocks, I'm not going to it. And I would have missed out on so much. And what I'm trying to say is, people that are watching, yeah, like the things that you're thinking of, what, I might not go to that. Maybe you should. Because,
Yeah.
love life with both hands, like you said, it's very, very short. Very, very short.
Yeah.
And it's probably why we come back if we do so many times.
Yes, it is. And you've got to take chances as well. Nothing's guaranteed. People think, oh, but if this and but if that. Yeah, but if, you could be knocked down by a bus tomorrow. Just do it anyway. because I've lived a life. I've failed a few times, but I can't say that I haven't lived a life.
No.
I've done a lot already in my life. Really, hope to still continue to do more.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So tell me, go back to the community again. Yeah, you were there for 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what brought you away from that? What brought you?
Well, after I came back from doing my ayahuasca, which was 2017, I think, 2018, the person that had been triggering me left, and a couple of other people had left, and my cousin was going to come over, who lived in Hong Kong, like a brother to me, really. We're quite close. He was going to come over and we were going to carry on. We had ideas to how we were going to continue with it. Anyway, cut a long story short, I got a property for him close by because he didn't want to actually live on there, but wanted to live close by. So, because I'd done places up before, most of my life I've been, doing places up and that. Got a team of people for 2 summers long doing this property up for him, getting some extra land and this, that, and the other. And long and short of it was he died. So, it was. So I'd spent because really the summer months, the winters are so, harsh. Really, you've only got your summers to, develop things in a physical way. And I'd spent 2 years working on his place that he was going to come and we were going to collaborate in this, that, and the other. So I stayed there. I thought, well, okay, I'll run this as an Airbnb for the moment until I kind of get my head round, what direction we're going to go in now. And well, first of all, I was watching all these conspiracy stuff. Secondly, I used to listen to a lot of channelings. Secondly, I'm relatively well, I do tune in and meditate. And there was a feeling in me that I needed to come back to England. I just felt it was time to come back. And it wasn't really working. It just wasn't really working there, and I put it out to...
Everything started to sort of...
Yeah, and one day I set myself on fire. I mean, I'd been there 13 years and I'd never set myself on fire, but I fully was on fire, Yeah, I mean, I put it out. It was in the bathroom, luckily, because there was a big, heavy cotton bath towel, and I could see in the mirror on the wall, my hair was on fire, all half down all my clothing down one side of the wall was on fire, everything, the floor was on fire. Anyway, that was a shock. And that unhinged me because I was living on my own there most of the time in the winter. And then there was
time that ever happened here. It was obviously you were obviously being pushed back here, and I know why you were pushed back here.
In the end, I got run off by a bear. All that time, bears were coming and going on the property, and we literally, this bear came. I had a new dog, the dog that I've got now, but she was still quite young. And she was barking. Cut a long story short, this bear had come on with a cub. She went for it, upset it. It hid its cub. They were running around the garden, chasing each other. Anyway, that happened. Couple of days after that had happened, I'd forgotten about that incident. I went out onto the back porch, and I thought, oh, one of the rocks has fallen off the table. We used to hold the tablecloth on the terrace out the back. So I went down the 3 steps to pick it up, just to bring it back and put it onto the table. And the next thing, I heard this loud rustle behind me. I just knew it was the bear. Luckily, my dog was on the terrace here. She literally jumped over my shoulder as I scrambled up and got into the house, and then she followed me in.
Wow.
But she saved me from a bear attack. Wow. And the thing was, I didn't know the bear was right there nursing its cub. It had gone where we'd scooped up a load of hay in the summer, what they hadn't taken with them. I'd just dragged it all under this tree. And of course, that was a nice cozy spot. She was nursing her cub. Anyway, So there was that, and I thought it's time to go.
But you know what? Like I get the feeling that you're here to help people align.
Yeah, I
And
do feel that I've got more spiritual, Dave. Yeah, I've gone into my spirituality way more. I think
because
COVID's
it's
done
what
that for a
it is,
lot of
isn't it,
people.
Nicolette? I mean, like there is a lot of people that sort of got their eyes open, and I don't mean about all like how the government treat us, and like I'm not talking about that, although that's important. I'm on about realizing you're on a fucking rock flying through space, possibly. We never know, do we? But you know what I
Possibly,
mean?
yeah, unless it's flat.
Like just like taking. I've always had this ability to be able to step away from the world, and I think the world in people's faces so much, all the stresses and the jobs,
Yeah,
and the debt, and just the
yeah.
pressure. They don't have time to go within themselves really and do things.
Well, I think that's how it's been orchestrated, Dave. The system has
Exactly.
been orchestrated that
Yeah,
way that everybody, even this
totally.
recession
They're
and all the
clever.
rest of
They're
it,
clever, Nicolette.
very clever. So people are exhausted. They're
Yeah,
eating rubbish food because they're coming home. They're crashing and getting in,
yeah.
just getting hypnotized by that box. And then where have they got their energy or their incentive to? Even though they know what's
No
going on,
creativity, Nicolette. No
yeah,
creativity. I mean,
exactly, knocked
that's
out of
what
them.
that's what they want. Get
You don't
everyone. The way
exactly.
I see it is, we're digressing here. I love it. With the TV, yeah. It's like, oh, give them some nice shows to keep them happy. They're working their
Yeah,
asses off all week. They can probably afford the Chinese if they're lucky. Do you know what I mean? And it's like,
yeah,
just keep them happy. Bit of football, because
yeah,
and you
yeah.
can see in people, football's a big important thing in people's lives because in some cases that's all they've got. Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yes, and they're working so hard to
So
make ends meet that they are absolutely exhausted when they get back. And
and
yeah.
it has to change, Nicola. It's not supposed to be like this. It's not supposed.
No, it's definitely not. But it is changing though, Dave. I
It
do
is.
see a
It
lot of
is
change
changing.
happening
Yeah,
because I think people have been pushed too far.
they have.
And also a lot of the stuff that's been going on, as I said before, as conspiracy, is
Yeah.
now revealing itself as truth and
Yeah,
people are
well,
seeing it.
before they did it incognito. Now they just do it in front of our faces. Like they're so stupid. Don't worry about them. But like we're not as stupid as we look. Or
No,
what they
no.
seem.
No, exactly. I think people really are waking up to it.
They
And I
are.
think COVID has backfired in some ways on
Big
them
time,
because
big time.
actually it's allowed people to do a lot of stuff in that break that they
Yeah.
were not able to do. So some have, really gone off on a more positive tangent than they were on.
Creativity again.
Yeah, yeah,
And
definitely.
I found that myself. I set up a business making subliminal audio. A little plug there for myself. But I learned all about video editing. I learned so much from that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I thought, wow, it's like really cool.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
I love it,
Yeah.
and I love the stuff you do, and I love the empowerment stuff you do, getting people together, uh, and
Well, I think
in a
that's
way,
the thing, though, Dave. I
you
think people have been led to feel exhausted, feel fearful, feel
yeah,
powerless. But in actual fact, if people take the time, and that's what I found since I came back, I connected with groups, I connected with spiritual groups,
mm,
and I started going to. I mean, I've been to spiritual development groups before, and of course, the communities where I in was spiritual and had a
mm,
lot of channelings and all sorts going on.
mm,
But I joined a group and I started doing some channeling myself and
mm,
trance work, getting into an altered state in meditation.
mm,
And the stuff that's being revealed to me and
wow,
through me, like when I've been with other people, I'm blown away by it, Dave. I
wow,
just, I sometimes put my recorder on next to me now and
yeah,
record it. and then I sometimes use words I don't even know what they mean. I'm looking them up afterwards. And
Yeah,
it's like, and I think, well, that can't, you think it's yourself at first, and
you
probably
do,
an element of it is. But when things come through and you think, wow, that definitely wasn't
yeah.
me,
I've never sort of crossed myself. It's like I've heard voices before, and they told me stuff, and it's only happened really briefly. But at that time, 1999, I went to India and spent that time there. I did I wrote like self development program, right? I don't know where that come from, and I must have done like 100,000 words, like a whole book of writing, and I was reading it about 2 months ago, and I was like, what the fuck? Did I write this?
yeah,
It's like
yeah,
book. How is that
yes.
possible?
When
But
you
the
give
point
yourself
is, I
the
could do
time
it
and
like I could have
space,
done the same thing right now. Do you see what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah. But I think they say all the answers are within. And where
yeah,
we've led to look outside of ourselves for God, or, source, prime creator, whatever you want to call universe.
everything, everything.
Yeah, everything.
Mm,
That when we're looking outside of ourselves for guidance or healthcare or politics or religion,
yeah,
no, it's like all that, all the answers are within. And I
exactly.
never really understood that. I thought, well, I did. I kind of believed it was a bit of a cliche. But
Yeah.
actually, what does get revealed when you start going within
Mm,
and giving yourself a bit of time and space,
mm,
what starts revealing and how I say powerful, but I think what it is, it's self empowerment. Because when you start realizing who you really
who you
are,
are. Yeah,
exactly, you realize that you're not, just, I'm not Nicolette. I
yeah,
mean, there's an
exactly. That's what I've been saying
aspect,
for years.
yeah, there's an aspect of me, only a
Yeah,
fraction of
yeah,
me, that's
exactly.
incarnated
It's
as
like
Nicolette for this experience. But how many
exactly.
more
I,
aspects of,
I always, you know what I say to people? I say to them, I'm not big, really. Fucking hell. I
yeah,
chose a better name. You know, all I am is a beautiful manifestation of existence. That's all I'll ever be, and that's what everybody is, and that's all they'll ever be.
yes,
And
yes.
like whether they're killing someone or whether they're loving someone, they're still a beautiful, incredible manifestation of life.
Totally.
And
Totally. Someone's got to do it. Someone's got to play the opposite, haven't they? Someone's got to
yeah,
show the diversity in the dark to reveal the light. So,
absolutely,
even Judas apparently was a very evolved soul and, decided to have that contract with Jesus,
yeah.
whether it's true or not, but it makes sense to me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's a lot of stuff out there, like you'll agree with me. We don't truly know. I mean, we can have our feelings within, which probably is probably true, from our many lifetimes. Uh, but I'm sure when we leave our bodies, we were like, wow, I knew it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's going on at the minute then? Have you? Because it's got your website.
Well, my website, I haven't updated it for a while. So I've got a few events coming up, which I haven't put on there yet. It's one of my to-do things, but anyway,
So what have
it'll
you got
happen.
coming up, Nicola?
Well, Thursday is the solstice. So I've got a drumming ceremony at Titchfield Abbey.
Oh wow.
And then there's a talk coming up later in January. And I've got another talk in February. I'm just trying to think who and where. And then the last Monday of every month, there's the Haven't group, which I've now
It's
taken
just a
responsibility
positive living
for.
group, isn't it? Having
Yeah, yeah.
positive living group. So
Well,
people are what?
they call it Haven't Health and Wellbeing Group,
Oh,
but
okay.
I was thinking of maybe renaming it. But for the time being,
Yeah,
it's all right. Yeah, that's at Denville's house last Monday of the month. That's at 10:15 till 12:30. Nice cafe,
mm.
lovely venue.
I've been
And
there.
I've also booked that. You have indeed. And you did a great job as well, Dave.
Well, you did make me feel good.
And then I've actually booked that same venue to do an ongoing course through the whole of next year.
Oh wow.
So that
What's this
starts in
ongoing talk then? Are
February.
you allowed to talk about it? Or?
Um, no, I haven't formed it all yet.
Okay.
I knew
Well,
I had to do something,
is
and
it
I knew
about
I wanted to
empowering?
do.
Empowering.
Oh, it'll definitely be partly that. It'll be empowering, it'll be celebration, it'll be unity,
Woo!
unity consciousness, connection, connection with each other, knowing who you are, exercises in, I don't like the word exercises, just coming together and growing, understanding, caring and sharing. Yeah. Yeah. So
There's so much more out there for people that don't know about yet. And people like you, and hopefully people like me,
yeah.
you can just, we can spread the word. But, we like this now, this chat we're having.
Yeah, just chatting, the amount of subjects that come up. I mean, it just cut, it's just so relevant, I suppose, one way or another, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Nicolette, what can I say? I think we're going to wrap it up now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been very, very interesting. It's something interesting to me personally.
Yeah. It's interesting to me. I'd love to do it again.
Yeah, I bet you would.
But I think I've got other work to do at the minute.
I've always been interested in the Indian culture. I was fascinated with yogis. Yeah, the yogis.
Yeah.
I studied the yogis. Well, some of them, not all of them, obviously. But I always had this feeling in me that I could happily walk somewhere to a temple and live there and just live that sort of life. It's definitely within me. And maybe I've done it before in another life, and I feel like reminiscences of that. But yeah, I could.
Yes. But even if you just periodically do it, or once or twice in your life, like you did, once you've touched into that. I did the same when I was about 30 odd. I went to India and went and stayed in an ashram and a yoga and naturopathy institution for a couple of months.
Yeah.
It's just you just go into that country so full of spirituality, and the people and the connections and people that have travelled, and you share stories, and so
You
it
meet
used to
so
be,
many
didn't it?
people in these places, don't you, from all over the world, and it opens your eyes and you think, my God, this is like, there's so many people, there's so many good people in the world.
Yeah, there is so many good people. There is way more good people in the world than negative. And like you said, even the negative ones are only playing a role, or they've been,
not many people get up in the morning and decide, I'm going to piss someone off today. I'm going to be evil today.
No.
So, well, look, Nicolette, thank you for coming on.
Oh, thank you very much for inviting me, Dave. I've enjoyed our conversation. It's been great.
I think we covered hopefully we covered everything we had to cover.
Wow, there's loads more we could have talked about, but
yeah, it's been amazing, really good, and I'm sure
thank
people who
you.
watch the recording will find it interesting because there's a lot of people out there that are interested in this.
Yes,
So
it's good.
Sorry, everyone that is watching, I think it's the 22nd. I've got to check this. I'm just going to tell people about the next talk that I've got coming up, Nicolette, which is with the girl from Pompey. Do you know Brian?
I'm not sure if I do. I know people sometimes when I meet them, and I've forgotten their names. I'm terrible, really, like that.
Well, anyway, she's going to be on the 21st of January, and she was an alcoholic. She was a drug addict. She was an absolute nightmare. Yeah, she was always fighting clubs and stuff, and and you have to go through the darkness to see the light. Yeah, and now she's written 4 books. She sees dead people. Very interesting woman. And I know she was interested about watching this tonight. So, because I've been reading a book for a bit of research for the talk, and there's a part of it where she says, "I'm on the streets. I've been on the streets for 3 years. I'm scruffy and dirty. I'm in bins looking for old food." And I was like, "Wow!" But it was a dream. It was a dream she had. She woke up from it.
Oh, that's amazing.
When she was describing this, I had an affinity with that. I was like, wow, that is like freedom. That is true freedom. I mean, besides like getting beat up, maybe when you live in the streets, but like you're literally free. Do you know
But
what
if
I
you
mean?
can turn your life around like that, it's so inspirational for people.
That's exactly. And what she does, she talks about it, but she does loads of talk. So anyway, people that are watching, Bryony's going to be on the 21st of January. One to watch, and I hope you've all enjoyed our chat tonight. We've gone over it, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. Always love to watch
Oh,
Nicolette.
thank you very much, Dave. Me too.
No, absolutely. So to everyone watching, we wish you good night, and we'll see you again
Yeah.
next time.
Good night.
Woohoo!